Hi everyone. We're back with a new episode. We have a bunch of topics to cover today, starting with the Rittenhouse trial and going on to some other topics like the COVID ravaging Europe and the mayhem that's causing there. The Great Barrier Reef, which we've kind of carried over from other shows, we weren't able to cover it, and with the Capitalism is here to the rescue. So how are you guys doing? How's everything on your ends?
Keith?
I'm doing good. Been a busy week for me. I went to a Socialist Party meeting last night. Good to see you guys. A lot to talk about. How are you, Marcus?
I'm good. I'm here in Germany, and we will learn a little bit later how the situation is here in Germany, COVID-wise. Here in Europe, we mostly are doing our best to keep the virus comfy and that no harm is going to happen to it. Yes, we are failing here, and you will talk about this a little bit later. Otherwise, I'm doing fine.
Yeah, the virus seems to be doing very well for itself over there.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
And we here in New Jersey have survived a near takeover of our governor position by the Republican Chitterelli somehow, though with a very close margin. The existing progressive incumbent has survived. So we're safe for now, but looking at the future and the stats that are coming out regarding the positions of like the popularity of Republicans, it's a very sobering thing, and I'm very concerned for the future.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, yes, let's start with the hottest topic today. Yesterday, Kyle Rittenhouse got his his day at the jury, and the jury decided that he can go and be a free man. And yes, this is what we are talking about, because I think it is not so easy in the first place as it looks like. Amos, please go on.
Yeah, so let's take a look at Tucker Carlson, who had like immediate follow-up to the court, and he also revealed they were filming this event. Apparently, the prosecution, the defense attorney was not in favor of that and tried to get rid of them on a couple of occasions. But they're filming a documentary presenting Kyle in a different light. We'll see it in a minute. Here we go.
This afternoon, the jury acquitted Kyle Rittenhouse on all charges. The jury affirmed what was obvious from the very beginning. He acted in self-defense. It was a wonderful moment. Anyone who believes in impartial justice was vindicated. Here's what that moment looked like.
As to the first count of the information, Joseph Rosenbaum, we, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty. As to the second count of the information, Richard McGinnis, we, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty. As to the third count of the information, unknown male, we, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty. As to the fourth count of the information, Anthony Huber, we, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty. As to the fifth count of the information, Gage Grosskreutz, we, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty.
Remarkable. Months of relentless lying from the media about this case, in the end, had no effect whatsoever on the jury. Propaganda doesn't always win. Today it was soundly defeated, thank God. Our documentary team was there in Kenosha when it happened. They've been there for days, putting together an installment of our Tucker Carlson original series on this case. And they captured Kyle Rittenhouse's first moments outside the court today after being acquitted.
it's the stuff that keeps you up at night. Like, once you finally do get to sleep, your dreams are about what happened, and you're waking up in a dark, cold sweat.
Yeah.
You had dreams about what happened?
Every single night. It's quite scary, actually, because the dreams feel so real, and they're not the same at all. They're all different. They're the different scenarios that run through your head during the day, like what could have happened. Like, I'm alive, but what could have happened? Like, what if I wasn't alive, or what if I did let Mr. Rosenbaum steal my gun? It's those type of dreams of the outcome of. It's bad, but almost every outcome is either me getting seriously injured or hurt or dead. Those are just the dreams I have on a daily basis.
The defendant will rise and face the jury and hearken to its verdicts.
State of Wisconsin versus Kyle Rittenhouse. As to the first count of the information, Joseph Rosenbaum. We, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty. As to the second count of the information, Richard McGinnis, we, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty.
How do you feel, man?
The jury reached the correct verdict. Self-defense is not illegal. And I believe they came to the correct verdict, and I'm glad that everything went well. And it's been a rough journey, but we made it through it. We made it through the hard part.
Watch that clip, you're reminded that maybe the one person in America who hasn't yet weighed in on the Kyle Rittenhouse trial is Kyle Rittenhouse himself. So for months, CNN and MSNBC and Kamala Harris have been allowed to define him. But that ends Monday. We're sitting down for a long interview with Kyle Rittenhouse. You can see it on this show Monday night. We hope you will. So technically, as a legal matter, this case is over. Kyle Rittenhouse has been proclaimed innocent in a court of law. He's free to resume his life. But for the authoritarians among us, this is a disaster. They can't let it go. Why? Because they understand the Rittenhouse case is a referendum on the most basic right of all, the ancient right of self-defense. If Kyle Rittenhouse can save his own life from the mob, then you can too.
Yeah, this guy makes my gets right under my skin, and the documentary that they're shooting with the music, with the pathos-filled music, and the whole presentation. Formerly, they were presenting Kyle as a martyr. Now he's just a saint. But the whole concept of him being like the poster boy of self-defense and justice in America is just completely ludicrous. Now, I'm not saying whether he what his actual guilt was in the events, but this by itself, that slant is highly disturbing to me, because it's presenting this one-sided view of them versus us, and I find it extremely disturbing that they consider that like a victory, that someone walked free essentially after killing a couple of people. They don't see it as a tragedy. I see the whole event as a tragedy, both on Rittenhouse's end and these victims that got shot during these events. And how do you guys see it?
Okay, I think it goes even further. He's not only the poster boy for self-defense. I think the intention, what Tucker Carlson is trying to do, and I think that, sorry for this comparison, that Joseph Goebbels would be proud of him. He is trying to make Kyle Rittenhouse the poster boy for the white people, for the white Republican people, because they have to have the feeling to be on the losing end, of what's going on in America, and look, it goes even further when he's sitting in the car, Kyle Rittenhouse, and says the jury was right. Self-defense is not a crime. Self-defense is legal. with the same argument. You can bet on it. Tucker Carlson will come up in one of his next shows and say, look what happened at the Capitol, It is also, in our view, it is also a part of self-defense. So just look at Kyle Rittenhouse. The jury said he can go and he's not guilty. He's an innocent man. Why doesn't this case should be the same for the mobsters? For the mob who were hanging inside the Capitol, right? And I think it goes even further. He is using. I don't know how far Kyle Rittenhouse is involved in right-wing theories or all this stuff, and how far he's voting for Republicans or not. But he's misused from many sides. He's not misused only from the Republican side or from the Trumper side of guys like Tucker Carlson. I think he's also being misused from the left side. There were also complete false reporting about him, and it's a little bit tragic. And
what for example, what were the false reporting?
What do you mean?
What, for example, were the false reporting, Marcus?
It was false reporting, or it was not exactly false reporting. But when I remember back, I heard also that he was running around and shooting at people and stuff, and he killed also black people. And when you look at some videos, what he did this day before, he was very helpful, erasing graffiti or helping with fire extinguishers, with burning cars, etc. This is also a part of Kyle Rittenhouse, But we will come to the point in the discussion. I think, is he really innocent? I want to ask you guys, is he really innocent? Has he the right to go out as a free man? What do you think, guys?
No. He's not innocent. He's a piece of POS. I think everybody knows what that is. And, I don't read too much into it. I kind of ignored it. These are like, you can give all sorts of symbolic meaning to these events, which are really ultimately a personal event. I mean, this idiot was there with a gun, and people tried to take it away from him because he shouldn't have been there with a gun. And it went bad, and he wound up shooting some people. He's got no remorse, whatever. All he does is think of himself. And quite frankly, if he were in a dark alley without the gun and I were there, only one of us would come out, and it would be me. And I mean it. I mean, he's murdered people. And those people he murdered have mothers. They have brothers, I guess, sisters, whatever. These are real people. And he took their life away. And there was no reason for it, none at all. He didn't have to be there. He could have left the situation. So, you can get all technical about self-defense, whatever. Yeah, well, maybe so. Maybe they shouldn't have tried him for first degree stuff. The bar was way too high. But as far as manslaughter, should this idiot be doing like 7 years minimum? Thinking about what he did, and I hope he looks over his shoulder for the rest of his life, because he's just a POS, and he doesn't stand. To me, he doesn't stand for anything or against anything. He's just a POS. That's all.
Well, I don't know if I don't know if I'd go as far as to characterize him in that way. Although
he shot people. What do you have to say? How can you forgive that, Amos? He didn't have to do it.
Yeah, I've watched hours of that court case, so I have a lot of understanding of the whole timeline and how everything.
No, but I don't care. He didn't have to be there in the first place.
Well,
he was guilty of a crime for even being there, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, and
as far as what the Wisconsin law or whatever he was tried by, I don't live there. I don't have to respect that law. I'm sitting in another state. I can judge it any way I want.
Well, that is the other issue.
Just like Marcus, he's in a different country. He can have a totally different opinion.
Hold on. I see it like this. Okay, the point. I think the point is a little bit differently. In the first case, there's the trial. He was accused of murder, and the jury decided he's not. Okay. you have your laws in America, in Wisconsin especially, as it seems, with self-defense concerns. But the question is, I asked this question myself. He was showed in several video footages that he was helping people, as I said, erasing graffiti, coming up with fire extinguishers and helping with cars, etc. He was having also a medic pack with him in case. But why the fuck did he come with a gun? And I think in Germany, it would be two different cases. In the first, it would be also the murder case, but also the question would be raised in how far this man is guilty, having in this situation, in how far did he bear his guilt that this situation escalated as it happened. Well, and this would be completely different. Yeah. He would not have left court as a free man. He definitely would have faced a verdict that he would be in jail, or it would be sanctioned. Definitely.
To me, that goes to the center, to the core of the issue, and that is the cultural acceptance in the U.S. for vigilantism as a protected and sanctioned response, and that is the crux of the issue, because it is considered fine for a 17-year-old to take a semi-automatic rifle and go and get involved in something that is not doesn't have any connection with the owner of the businesses. He in fact goes beyond that. He goes against the instructions of the people who are organizing this protection force, and goes out of the business to run towards some fire that was set in a dumpster, against the instructions. And then, of course, since he's running around with a rifle, he gets the attention of this guy who's left the mental institution that same day, running around with a bag from his daily stuff that he had in the hospital, and he chases him down, and that's where the first shooting happens. Now, it's you could say that that's defense for sure. And then what follows that is that he's attacked by one guy, and then he shoots another guy for trying to disarming. A paramedic, in fact, that was not part of the demonstration, tried to disarm him, pointed a gun to him when he lifted the rifle to him, but ultimately he blew the guy off before anything else happened, and that was the Gage Grosskreutz who got just injured. The whole thing, you could see how all of that happened, but the point is here that he kind of went into harm's way, and when things happened, then he claimed self-defense, and that's. I don't Keith. I don't think that he should have gotten murder, reviewing all of the evidence, but I do think that he should have gotten manslaughter, because he endangered people by the mere fact that he was antagonizing them with running around with a semi-automatic rifle and almost pointing it at people at random. Yeah. That was not a smart move, to say the least.
First degree is too much. Manslaughter is not enough.
And the other thing that people miss is that by that time that all of this happened, the police has pushed the protesters past that point. The protesters have not accosted or attacked or in any way interfered with these guys on the roof that were standing with rifles and protecting the businesses, so to speak. That has all passed, and they kept standing there, kept waiting, and then encountered that one unstable guy that started the whole escalation. And it just It was not necessary. It wasn't at all necessary. By that time, they should have dispersed and gotten away from there.
In Germany, it would also be the question would also be raised in how far the parents or his father is responsible, and because he is the owner of the weapon, and how can his son, his minor son, take this gun and walk on the street, right? And all those questions would be raised here in Germany if such a case appears. Fortunately, we don't have a lot of those cases here in Germany. We know the reasons why. But as I said, I think Kyle Rittenhouse is guilty, though from the video footages I saw, according to your laws, what they allow, it was self-defense in these cases,
Yeah, and it was considered,
especially in the case with the guy with the mental problems. And from what I heard, he also had a friend with him who also had a weapon. And while Rittenhouse was running away from them, they were also shots fired.
I thought his girlfriend was with him.
I'm sorry?
His girlfriend was with him. From what I understand, he thought he could take the gun away from this guy, and he failed.
Okay, I don't know about this. I only heard that the friend was with him, and shots were heard. And while Kyle Rittenhouse was running away, he could not see what was happening behind him. And then he saw Rittenhouse behind him, and then it was a fatal thing. But as I said, the question is in how far does Kyle Rittenhouse has his guilt by escalating all this, and I don't think that
Marcus, I like what you brought out, that there's two aspects to this. There's the actual shooting itself, and yes, that's where the angles and who did what, very complicated. But there's the other thing is, what was he doing there? People were there because a black man had been shot by police, and who's having a very hard time walking these days. He's in very bad shape, this black man. And a crowd was out protesting police violence. And Rittenhouse shows up with a semi-automatic weapon as a white supremacist. Because I completely agree. This was about a black man in America. Black Lives Matter. Did we forget about that? It's real. Black men it's open season on black men in America by police. And some of us have had enough of it. And we're going to speak and scream about it until it stops. And, that's the kind of people that were out there. These were not criminal people. This was not a violent crowd.
Well, there was
Rittenhouse shows up
violent people
and antagonizes the situation. His being there with a gun should have been illegal. In Germany, it would have been illegal. I think in Seattle, probably it would be illegal. This, it's not uniform across the country about whether or not you can walk around with a fucking automatic weapon threatening people. It's not
right. Keith, don't get me wrong. I completely agree. The question is, in how far he's showing up with a gun is responsible, and he should definitely face a jury for this. Unfortunately, your laws in America allow that he can leave the courtroom as a free man. So for me as a German, I can
America's
say, okay,
not
this
one
is great.
place. The embarrassment of Kenosha doesn't have to stain the whole nation.
But to answer Keith,
no. I'm sorry. But in this place, but you got to excuse. This is exactly the point of view here in Europe. We have what America and weapons concern. We don't differentiate between the states. Some states might be have a less hard policy on this. Some allow it, but here in Europe, this is from all the news we are hearing. When a fatal shooting is happening, or Sandy Hook, or Parkland, or whatever, we all, it's America, huh?
Well, to answer
that's the
Keith,
European reaction.
Marcus and Keith,
Sorry.
answer Keith. Keith, there were people obviously in that crowd that were violent, were setting up fires to car lots and to dumpsters, all kinds of stuff. They were breaking things, and there were people of that sort in that crowd. But that doesn't mean that
that in no way has anything to do with Rittenhouse being there with an automatic weapon. It doesn't. He was. Whether they were setting fires in the street, which they were, or not. What does that have to do with the shooting?
Well,
it doesn't have anything to do with it.
Well, he claimed that the weapon was purely for his protection because he felt that if he was in that area, he could be the target of attack. But this is something that was missed by the prosecution because they were in one way trying to show that he was thinking of using the weapon not just for his protection, but the protection of the property, which he's not supposed to do. If there are attacks, the police supposed to record everything and then subsequently charge those people with the destruction of property, and that is how it's supposed to happen. Instead, he was thinking of using the weapon for protecting the property, and the way we know it, something that was missed in the court, and that's a piece of evidence that he spoke with the owner of the property that he was supposed to protect to get his permission to come and defend it. And one of the things he said to that owner was, "I am armed with a rifle." Which, if it wasn't meant to mean that he was going to protect the property with a rifle, then it has absolutely no meaning. What does the owner care whether he's protecting himself with a rifle or not? It wouldn't be material. So that's a clear indication of where he thought the weapon would be handy.
I think if you carry a gun, then you got to be aware that you have to use it. And I think this guy is definitely guilty. He's maybe not guilty in the murder cases he was accused for, but
guilty of being a POS.
Well, I don't know what was in his mind, frankly, but I do know that subsequently
it was in his mind. It was everything about what in his mind had to do with Kyle Rittenhouse. That's all Kyle Rittenhouse was thinking about.
Okay. I think that's a little bit too easy, though I can understand the emotions behind it. Yes, but it doesn't change the fact that he is a free man now, and it doesn't change the fact that he is now used as the poster boy for the right wingers. We will see, as I said, in the near future. Definitely, Tucker Carlson will put a connection between this and the Capitol storm and. He's now a figure of the narrative, and he's a free man. And in the end, the story is over, unfortunately.
Yeah, to me, he's just one man. He doesn't stand for anything.
Right.
No, I think
the right wing sees him as standing for it, which is what makes me what gets my fire, because he's seen as this figure that's protecting the rights to self-defense and such, and that wasn't. I don't think that it is. It's not in any way.
The narrative will be that he is that. Not the guy, but the name. It is about the name, the label. That's the label that he is the guy who stood up against the lefties and the BLMs and all those Antifa idiots, and that he made it happen. That the jury said it was good that he did this, and that he is free. And this is the figure. The label which is stuck on him and which is exploited right now.
And from my perspective, it's not that I wanted him to have his life destroyed or to be found guilty or whatever. But on the other hand, letting him scot-free is, to me, it's sad, not because he's scot-free, but because it sends the message that we're encouraging a Wild West mentality. And it's really not surprising that culturally that's where this country is at, because the Wild West, that's the roots of the US. But to me, that's not a positive development. It's not a good thing that we're heading more and more into vigilantism, because things like that get out of control and spiral out, and then you have people on both sides that get destroyed by it because of that. And I wanted to say earlier, I was trying to say that I don't presume to know what's in his head, but it is known that after the court trial started, he was photographed in midst of some supporters doing the white power sign. So I don't know what, if it's just bad decisions on his part, or if that's representative of his mentality.
If he's giving the white power sign, what don't you know? I mean, it's kind of right there in your face.
Yeah, it appears
Why pretend it's something else?
Right. But he wasn't tried on that, so it's tough to. I mean, it's not. It wasn't part of the trial.
So what? It's what it is. It's what the truth is.
In terms of us determining what the justice behind it was, regardless of the legality, what the ethical aspect of it was. And I understand basically it's clear that a lot of people see it in the way that it's presented here in the cartoons. Kyle killing Justice, like here's in Wisconsin, one of these activities are illegal for 17-year-olds. They can't drink, they can't play the lottery, they can't vote, but they can use rifles.
Oh, it is. Oh, it is legal.
It is legal to use it. Yeah, he was just not allowed to own it in Illinois, but it was, so that's why it was kept by the. It's kind of like a loophole when you think about it. Like he was able to use it, but not kind of possess it. It's the same thing with marijuana here in Germany. You might have a little bit of it, but you might not buy it or grow it. It falls from the sky here in Germany. And the fact is that if he was a black person, I don't think anyone, even his supporters, would imagine that he would walk free if he was in this position. If there was a black person, everything was identical, and Kyle was a black person as opposed to a white person. Does anyone believe that he would have gotten scot-free?
I also had this in mind, and definitely not, 100% not.
And that's really telling. But it is what it is. And the right wing sees it as if the media is misrepresenting and lying and attempting to be one-sided, and that's not quite the case as far as I can tell, because I've followed up all the stuff. There may be spin here or there, or the way it's expressed, but on the whole, I don't think that there has been a lot of miss.
He looks a little bit like JFK with back pain, right? A young JFK with.
Yes, but I've also caught that Jimmy Dore was on the same bandwagon of blaming the media for attacking.
What I didn't like about, I also saw this and I watched it, and I didn't like especially one part of his reporting when he came to one of the victims, the guy with the mental disturbance, he put there that this guy assumingly was charged of 5 times children molester or something like this, and and how he said it, it made me feel, that it is somehow justified that this guy was killed because he was a child molester and stuff. I don't think that it was meant from Jimmy Dore like this, but it was a little bit of an excuse, that this guy is dead now. I don't know how you feel, Amos.
I just feel that he sometimes buys into extreme right-wing media and in their coverage. I don't know why. I can't really understand it, but I followed a lot of his claims, and they're often their spins and stuff that appears in right-wing media, and I don't see a clear evidence for them in reality. But I don't know what to say about that. Yeah.
I would not go so far to say that Jimmy Dore is singing the songs of the right wingers.
Well, he repeats exactly the stuff that's in those.
He can be very confusing.
Yes, he can be confusing, but from me, that I'm not an American here in Germany, from what he says, I have maybe the distance to understand things a little bit differently than you guys who are confronted directly with all this stuff. I don't think that he is trying to fish in the Republican waters. I think he's really trying to open a dialogue because he and I doubt that it is all the problems are left and right thing mainly. It is also a scheme, that should take our views away from what is happening at the top, and we are at the bottom, and that's the point. And I think under this this is what drives him, in my opinion. Anyway, we are not talking about Jimmy Dore here right now.
No.
Here's a clip regarding the follow up of the acquittal.
Protesters marched across the Brooklyn Bridge on Friday and other cities across America as Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty for a fatal shooting at a racial justice protest last year.
Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty.
The 18-year-old Rittenhouse broke down sobbing earlier on Friday as he was acquitted of all charges related to the shooting, including 2 counts of homicide and 1 count of attempted homicide for wounding a third man. The shooting took place last August in the midst of civil unrest after police shot and paralyzed a black man named Jacob Blake. Blake's uncle Justin condemned the Rittenhouse verdict outside the Wisconsin courtroom on Friday and demanded Jacob's case be reopened.
The DOJ, under a Democratic president, said it was okay to shoot a young man 7 times in the back in front of his 3 children, paralyzing them to this day. And I'm telling you, Joe Biden, we're coming for you.
Just a few blocks away from the courthouse, about a dozen people attended a prayer vigil led by local pastor Monica Cummings, who said the community would need to come together in the verdict's aftermath.
Profoundly disappointed, sad, angry, crying, grieving, and also looking to the future like, okay, we've got work to do. And at the top of the list is healing. Our community can now begin the long process of healing and looking at how we want to be as a community together.
Several dozen protesters faced heavy law enforcement presence as they lined the steps outside the courthouse after the verdict was read. Some carried placards supporting Rittenhouse, while others expressed their disappointment, ending a trial that has further polarized the country over contentious issues related to race and gun rights.
To answer Gene and Kendra, there was a whole issue of the police conduct in this case, and there were serious issues with the police conduct. If anything, they were probably just as responsible for what transpired as anybody else, and that is because they were pushing the protesters past where they knew the protectors with the rifles were standing, and there could have been a flashpoint at that point. Nevertheless, they drove them straight into that corridor, into that part of the street. They also threw water to those guys that were supposedly protecting those businesses, and clearly encouraging them. And thirdly, they were when Rittenhouse, after he shot the guys, he ran to the police to give himself up. I think he was shaken in at the point he was afraid of his own life, so he wanted to present himself to the police, if nothing else, as protection. But at that point, the police didn't want anything to do with him and sent him away. So the police had a lot to do with this case and how it's perceived, and what it clearly showed a racial bias there. Because again, if he was a black guy running the police, they would have arrested him on the spot. They wouldn't even have to run to the police himself. They would have done it.
If exactly, and exactly my thought when he was coming over with his hands raised and his rifle, around. I think if he was a black man, maybe they opened fire directly, right? Because
Right.
they can say we feel threatened.
Yeah.
Everything is dealt with this. I feel threatened.
Right.
And from there I can understand, and I can understand the anger, and but you can also see that it is mixed. There is the poor man who shot six bullets in his back, who is now not able to walk anymore, and of course the people are enraged and angered, but you got to see what the facts are, and what the guilt question is, and I think we talked about this long enough.
Yeah, I agree with that. Thou shalt not kill. That's if I have a last word about this, that'll be mine.
Yes, but
All right.
yes. Let's look at what's going on with COVID in Europe, and it's beyond what we people here in Europe can understand anymore. It is. Let's have a look at the first at the worldwide cases at first. So we can see the third world countries. In the top 3, USA, India, Brazil. I'm sorry, I got to do this joke, but yes, normally you can India. You wonder how India has those big numbers. Of course, a lot of people. Many people. In Brazil, you have Bolsonaro, who prevented a lot of success fighting Corona. And then you have the US, and you all know what's happened in the US so far and is happening there. I don't want to mention DeSantis and all those guys. Let's have a look at what's going on.
DeSantis.
I wish we had.
Oh wow!
Death
I
sentence.
love this. I love this. Cool. DeSantis.
I wish we had numbers. Those are absolute numbers. I wish we had per population numbers, so we could compare those.
Yeah,
Obviously, the US and India are going to have high numbers. The question is who has a relative high number.
Almost the last graph I saw about that is Europe is about 5 or 6 times what the U.S. infection rate is right now. There are certain countries where it's really high. Belarus areas or someplace is just like all their hospitals are totally filled.
And that's exactly the point. And this is what we are facing here in Europe. We see that the personnel in the hospitals is working at their limits. They're doing this now for more than 2 years, and the hospitals are overcrowded already. I heard about cases here in Germany that we have to fly patients abroad, because we don't have the capacity anymore here in Germany. But let's go from country to country. On Monday, Austria will decided to have a general lockdown on the population, and it will last, I think, for 3 weeks. It was decided by their Chancellor Schallenberg, who is also new in this in office. Yes, and if you look at the numbers, the average here in the European Union is low. It's only 65.5%. In comparison to other countries, other nations, it's ridiculous. And in Austria, we have the situation that only 64% of the population are fully vaccinated. This is a number dated from November 19th. And you can see what is going on there. The numbers are rising, and they're facing the same problems we are facing here in Germany in several parts of our country. That the doctors are alarming, and it is a terrible situation. If you want to help people, if you are a doctor or a nurse or something like this. And if you're working in the sector and you see that things are getting even worse, it's our fourth wave here in Germany. Meanwhile, and it seems that many people did not learn from the past 2 years, and it is Angela Merkel. You may have missed her. She is still alive, but nobody knows what she is doing here in Germany. We have the situation, as you know, that we have the old government in office, but the new government is building a coalition right now. They are in talks to build a new government, and in this vacuum, nothing is happening. And we can see this here in August. I heard, or in August or mid-August, we heard the doctors warning the people. They were on several occasions here on TV in different shows. They were warning that we are facing a brutal winter time, and they were 100% correct. Of course, since August, nothing happened. I explained the reasons, the vacuum here in Germany. I think that I personally think that a lockdown here in Germany for a couple of weeks is also likely, because I don't see that the numbers are going down again so fast. And if you look at the hospitals here, as I said, it's absolutely terrible. Angela Merkel, the only thing she says is that we are getting hit with the corona wave full force, and she describes it as dramatic. And this is all. Then she went back to wherever she is going, and that was everything from Angela Merkel. We have a health minister here in Germany, Jens Spahn, who came on to call on doctors not to be too strict about waiting at least 6 months before giving patients vaccine booster shots. 3 weeks ago, I heard in the news the official statement was that we only need vaccinations for people older than 60 years. I already thought to myself, okay, let's wait. I'm pretty sure everyone would need this booster. And how surprisingly, everyone needs it. And now he's pushing the doctors to do the boosters as fast as they can. Of course, the doctors are also limited in their resources. They cannot do this alone. So we have the following situation that we are expecting daily 400 people will die over the next couple of weeks. This is decided. Nobody can do anything against it. This is coming from I have this guy also here, Lothar Wieler from the Robert Koch Institute. He said this in an interview. I saw it on TV. He said, we are losing every day 400 people. This is nothing. No one can do anything about it anymore. It's over for those people. And he has absolutely no understanding for people who are still hesitant or refuse for ridiculous reasons to get vaccinated. and you can have your, in my opinion, you can have your reasons why you don't want to get vaccinated. But in the end, if you have a little bit of solidarity in your body, this is my personal opinion, then show a little bit mercy with those people who are working in the hospitals, who are doctors, nurses, and only for them, get the fucking shot, get the jab.
Damn right.
And well, we can go on through this list. It is nearly every country is failing. Even Sweden, who had very good numbers, they are also rising. They still have the lowest rates in Europe, but they're also experiencing that the virus is developing. And in the end, it is. Even if you're vaccinated, you can get the virus. The question is only how good can your body deal with this, and well, I can only appeal to get the jab, and to show a bit mercy, and only, yes, Amos, Keith, you wanted to say something?
Well, yeah. I was looking into this too, and I totally agree with you about solidarity and getting the jab. If you've got one socialist bone in your body, you're going to think about other people, and maybe that,
yes.
Even though, oh yeah, and so what I found out this week is like Gibraltar is like canceling Christmas get together. They're canceling, meetings and such for the holiday season. And the reason is they've been having a COVID surge, and they're basically at 100% vaccination rate. And all sorts of anti-vaxxers are, jumping for joy, claiming that the vax is a bunch of, whatever it is they claim. And I was confused by it, and I looked into it. And what I found out, what appears to be happening in Europe is there's a lot of people that are vaccinated, but it's been wearing off. The vaccine does not last as long as people thought it would. Even the medical professionals are surprised that, it seems to be wearing off. And then you get the very virulent, the strains that have learned to, reproduce as quickly as possible,
Yes.
I think the Delta. And so anyway, it illustrates the point that the vaccine is one of the tools that we have to fight, but it's only a tool. You still have to, it never was. We always knew that it wasn't 100% effective anyway, and that it was only a tool, but people have expected that, we could just get vaccinated and go back to normal life. And the truth is, it's in between that. Yes, with the vaccine and reasonable precautions, we can get back to something that resembles what we considered to be normal life. But it's a middle ground sort of thing. And,
yes.
So that's what I found out, that the vaccine appears to be wearing off, and boosters, if we want to, get back to as much normal life as possible, we're going to have to get boosters. That it appears.
But the question is,
in my report, adding to yours, we could jump ahead and play 42. I think it's 40. Yeah, slide 42. Which is a COVID slide I had. And that shows what some people in Rotterdam are doing to react to the, just play it.
It's starting.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, it seems that it is not enough that we have to deal with corona. We also have to deal with a lot of stupidity around it.
Well, that's the effect of the spike protein on the brain.
I see.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's the main problem, And the thing is, even in the Netherlands, as you mentioned it last night, there were also riots about this, and I think 2 people were hurt at this in Rotterdam alone. Yeah. If you look around, it is. I'm not telling that a booster jab will help you indefinitely, but at the moment we don't have anything else, right? And we don't know. And
one good thing about Rotterdam, it's a good thing Kyle Rittenhouse isn't there.
In Rotterdam,
right?
Okay.
Then it'd be even worse.
The thing that is encouraging that there is progression, there is improvement on the treatment part of it, and it appears after more trials that medication we were talking about previously, the anti-worming, is actually pretty effective in reducing hospitalization and death, and in fact it's as effective, if not more, than the Pfizer equivalent that's being patented,
this is always a momentary situation. What I wanted to say is we don't know in what direction the virus is going to develop.
It's always the case, but it's more likely that it's going to build immunity to the vaccine than to ivermectin. Apparently, it deals with virus by binding in different locations and also blocking a molecule that's designed to cut proteins into segments in order for those amino acids to be imported into the virus, so the virus can build its attachment to the cells, the spikes that we've heard of. So there's multi paths of actions of that drug apparently, and the likelihood of the virus overcoming these various paths is much lower than one that, like for example, the Pfizer medication only has one modality that it operates in the same. Pretty much in the same way that the ivermectin does, except it only blocks the molecule that cuts the protein into building blocks. So basically, it seems like that's a promising solution at the moment. But it's, of course, if you don't get the virus, then the virus cannot mutate. But the problem with that is that if we can't get herd immunity worldwide, then there's going to be continuing to be pockets of these areas where there's the vaccine is available to the virus to mutate and adapt to. And so we're going to continue having new variants that are going to endanger our population. So it's a very complex issue. If I'm looking at myself, whether I would decide to get the booster or not, even though the booster now is considered to, I believe that they think that it's going to be effective for like 3 months. I'm concerned about it successively getting shorter and shorter, that period of effectiveness. But if I was to decide whether to get vaccinated or not, for me it's a no-brainer. It's better to get vaccinated than not. On the whole, the question is, what's the right policy, and that I don't know. There needs to be more openness to research in that area.
Yes,
Don't
and the
forget,
problem.
the vaccine
Yep.
will also make the course of the sickness less. You probably won't have to go to a hospital if you have the vaccine and you catch COVID, where if you don't get the vaccine and you catch
Agreed,
COVID,
but if it also contributes to the likelihood of a virus variant developing to stop these vaccines altogether, their effectiveness, then the question is the price worth it on the societal level? So I don't know. There's questions to researchers for sure.
well,
Yes.
but if it keeps the hospitals empty, then like Marcus, you had a slide. I think it was 23. We haven't played that yet, have we?
Hold on, let me check 23. Yes, okay. Let's check. This is coming from Deutsche Welle, an international German program, and let's listen in. It's unmuted.
Fast. For the 9th straight day, the country has registered record infection rates, prompting doctors and public health experts once again to sound the alarm. They're urging leaders to ramp up pressure on unvaccinated people, and the first states have started to heed their call.
Berlin, the latest state to leave the unvaccinated out in the cold. Bars, restaurants and cultural venues are now off limits to those who haven't had their shot. I'm not thrilled, of course, but I think it's important that we all pull together and also enforce compulsory masks and, of course, protect ourselves, including those who are most vulnerable. The so-called 2G rule is meant to stop rising COVID-19 infection rates and encourage skeptics to get the shot. Some politicians think the rule needs to be expanded. I'm firmly convinced that we need blanket 2G measures and more in order to get through the winter safely, especially for indoor activities. This pandemic is being driven by the unvaccinated, and we have to get the whole thing under control again. Otherwise, within probably 2 weeks, the number we have now in intensive care units will grow so much that we will reach our limit in Germany. The country's next leaders remain locked in talks to form a new government. They're considering tougher measures, including making vaccines mandatory for healthcare workers. One company, however, is taking matters into its own hands, offering employees a hefty bonus if they get the shot. Everybody who can prove they've been fully vaccinated by the beginning of next year will get a €5,000 bonus. Even if they're already vaccinated today, they can also look forward to the reward. And those who get vaccinated before then will benefit too. Bosses admit the offer is as much about protecting their workers as protecting their business during the Christmas season. If it works, it may just give Germany's political leaders something to think about in the face of stubbornly low vaccination rates.
Yeah, I like the incentive aspect. I wish they did it here rather than talking about mandates and stuff like that. I think that would have been a much cleaner solution to get people vaccinated.
Yes. And look, €5,000 is nearly $5,000, and if you remember the big promise from Joe Biden, the $2,000 checks. Who of you got the $2,000 check? Okay, I see it.
We all got checks, but that was just at the beginning of
talking about 2,000. I'm talking about the promised $2,000 checks.
Yeah,
and I think this guy will pay his workers because the urge, the Christmas business is there, and companies cannot risk this, and so $5,000, have it or don't have it. I think it might people rethink their attitude.
And human love and
if you get more than one, get vaccinated more than once, can you get paid 10?
And human love and solidarity says the masks are there to stop.
I think we should give this to the German unions and we will make the best out of it.
There you go.
There's been a recent research, by the way, on not research, sorry, a survey of papers. They looked at thousands of papers. They narrowed it down to just 17 papers that they thought was the most objective and well-constructed research, and they concluded that mask wearing is still the most effective non-drug, non-pharmaceutical intervention or prevention for COVID. Unfortunately, in this country, wearing masks has become toxic politically, and I can see that people are generally very reluctant to wear masks at this point, even in restaurants and in businesses.
Speak for yourself. I'm in Seattle. It's a totally different situation here.
Well, I would say if half of the people here, like 50%, are wearing and 50% are not, since there's no mandate.
Well, it's mandated it's mandated here. So you're breaking the law if you're outside right now without a mask. So, people are doing it.
They should. I mean, that's a small price to pay.
It's about 100%.
All right.
Your volume's shrunk a little bit, by the way, Keith.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's not go through each and every country here in Europe. The situation is, as I said, it is worrying, and most countries are strengthening their measures. As we saw, Austria is having a lockdown for 3 weeks, and I think more countries will follow. But I would like to finish this with a quote. It is coming from Dr. Niklas Schneider. He is a doctor at the intensive care unit of the Munich Clinic in Schwabing. And he says about the team who is working with in the hospital. He says, the team is holding on, but we are incredibly frustrated because at the end of the day, we are the last resort for everything that is wrong with society as a whole. And I think this is the golden sentence. This is exactly what's going on. There's something deeply wrong with our society, be it in America, be it in Europe.
Yeah.
I can only agree.
Meanwhile, the U.S. is proud to be number 56 most vaccinated country.
Yeah. 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 This was stolen from Monty Python.
Yes.
Bring out your dead. Now bring out your unvax. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. No jab, no job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're coming down to something I put together.
Keith, your volume is very low.
Oh, gosh. All right. Hang on. Okay, now if I keep my mouse over the volume here, it'll be correct.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So I found this cartoon is part of a larger.
Oh.
Low again.
Yeah. It was part of a larger cartoon. I cut it out and put it in here. I just like it. Yeah, because it really, I brought, it keeps moving. Yeah, the audience may want to know that the FBI doesn't want me playing with my body volume and making it move all by itself. And so
exactly.
All right. So I really like this. I wanted to bring it out because to illustrate, I've talked about.
Now you're gone?
Yeah. I've talked about carbon dividends before, and they're different tax, and I don't know that you guys really understood what I was trying to bring out, on my previous attempt to explain that carbon dividends are different than anything else, and that this little really shows that carbon offsets are very capitalist. And, because do what you please, I also plant the trees. I can do what I want. And
Keith, I have to stop you. Interrupt you, because your audio is constantly clipping in and out. Maybe we'll get back to it. Let's do the story about the our flood news. We as you remember, we do cover floods on a weekly basis, pretty much. And here was one that happened in British Columbia. There were floods and mudslides, and they considered it once in a 500 years event. But is it really at this point? So here's a little clip about it.
Canada is facing the most devastating impact of climate change. 18,000 people are stranded, roads and houses destroyed, and entire regions inundated. In fact, this could be Canada's costliest natural disaster on record. So let's now tell you what has unfolded so far. The record downpour has blocked off complete towns in British Columbia. And Canada's largest port in Vancouver has been completely cut off from the country. This is extremely worrying for the rescue workers because all connectivity routes have become inaccessible. The global supply chains have come to a grinding halt. Many of the affected towns are also in mountainous areas, which is now complicating rescue operations further. The Premier of British Columbia has already declared a state of emergency. Province officials have also asked for urgent help from the central government. In fact, at one point, the city of Abbotsford feared that the water would overwhelm the pumping station, which could have forced the evacuation of all 160,000 residents. But there is some good news, which is that the flood water is receding in some parts, which has helped in reopening some major highways. Parts of British Columbia are also facing massive fuel shortages. Officials are mulling over importing fuel from the US, or in fact from neighbouring Alberta. The climate crisis has also given rise to panic buying, even though the province's agriculture minister has assured that food supply has been secured.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please,
now my volume's going to cooperate now that I'm not talking about, stuff I want to talk about.
No, don't worry, you're gone again.
No, yeah,
Keith. I suggest. I think in 1 week you can fix your new sound system, right? And then we can do this next week, maybe. Because it makes no sense.
There's not supposed to be anything wrong with it.
Okay,
it's very strange.
Yeah, it's.
But that's it. I got the very edge. Yeah. Okay. You guys talk.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Keith. Yeah. But we do this next week then. All right. Yes. This article, yes. It's news from the Great Barrier Reef. And it's about the bleaching there, the situation. It doesn't look good. It is. It has suffered the largest coral reef system has suffered 5 mass bleaching events in the past, and it's caused by rising ocean temperatures, and then driven by burning fossil fuel, and it spreads wider and wider. And there was a study made by the James Cook University. And it found only 1.7% of individual reefs had avoided bleaching. So this means 88.3% could not avoid the bleaching, And I don't think I don't know if it is if it can repair itself, just like nature did in the past, or are the influences now too strong, too hard that the Barrier Reef is finally going to die? With only 1.7 not bleached corals, I'm no biologist, but I don't know how this reef can go on to exist, and it is another bad news we have in connection with the climate catastrophe we are facing right now. There is yeah, there is only a fifth. The analysis of the latest emissions pledges at the Glasgow Climate Summit this week found if all countries were to meet their targets, then there was only a 50-50 chance that warming up could be kept below 2 degrees Celsius. We already know about the study from your secret agencies that we won't make this. They doubt this heavily, and well, it seems that we have to say goodbye to the Barrier Reef, in not too much time, right? And there's also the production of the baby corals, of course, influenced by this. The study says, a separate study says that it dropped by 71%, the reproduction. And well, as I said, the numbers are worrying, right? So one of the very important and beautiful natural systems is going to die, right? I don't know how I can describe it differently, And the greatest bullshit in all of this is that the Australian government prevented that it would be put on the list of the danger list, and
yeah, it's a criminal. They're still denying.
It is this, what's going on there in Australia, what the Great Barrier Reef concerns, is the same we are witnessing in Brazil when we are talking about the rainforest in Bolsonaro. It is the same stupid fuck we are facing. We are ruled by greedy POS, Keith would say.
Yeah. I would.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry for not having better news, but you get used to this.
Unfortunately.
Well, how do you get used to it?
Yes, it will become routine, because every day we will see in the future will come another horror story about another thing, and
but Marcus, isn't that the issue we're trying to overcome by us talking here? People are already getting used to it, and we don't want them to get used to it.
We're not saying, Keith. We're not saying that
that's cynical, Keith.
Yeah, well, Keith, we're not saying that this is supposed to be the case. We're just saying that's the reality. People are getting desensitized.
And we will happily report about this. This was also cynical, Keith.
Yeah. I got that one, yeah. Happily report on how the world is going to shit.
Yes.
All right. We're down to our weekly satire review.
Yeah. What is happening to Sesame Street? Isn't that Bebo there? Big Bird?
Yeah, it's all the cancel culture characters that were...
Why was Big Bird cancelled?
Sesame Street was something about Sesame Street. I think that's something about the poultry industry being on the attack against the poultry industry. I don't know. I'm making it up, but yeah.
Yeah, there was quite a stir about that cartoon that Gosar made.
Well, he didn't make it. He posted it.
No, he didn't make it, of course. He just posted it. It was posted. I didn't think much of it. I think it was much to do about nothing, really. It was like 1 second of very poorly done, obviously thrown in by a third party, not to get in your... It wasn't so bad to get your undies in a bunch over, in my opinion.
Well, that's a question. If it's consistent with someone's overall attack on a class of people, it is a narrative that's growing.
Well,
it's with
if it wasn't done by a member of Congress, I would have to say it'd be protected self-expression. But the fact that it was done, it was put out, even though he didn't do it, he hasn't denied it. and he said basically what I'm saying is get over it, but I'm saying because it's like 2 seconds of not very well done. You almost have to have it explained to you what you're seeing. And well, Oz used to be on his show, and he and Shonda are always doing that face over stuff. You can get the software that does it for you. It's amusing. But like I say, I don't like that one member of Congress did it to another member of Congress, but it's really no more than what any of us might do, say, on one of the slides we make for the show, or something we might post on our own websites or something like that. I think it was in bad taste, but I really don't think it warranted the attention it got.
Okay. Yeah. The big inflation monster is there, but only transitory, of course.
Transitory, yes.
Transitory, yeah.
Oh, well, with considering that, like how many trillions of dollars have been funneled to corporations to keep everybody afloat, the corporations working during the pandemic, the rich socialism for the rich that the U.S. has put out. This inflation is here to stay, and that's exactly where it's coming from. There's been so much money given out, that it actually affects, supply and demand at this point, and yes. How much we have to pay for things. It was a way, by bailing out Wall Street and the rich, basically our government cut the wages for the entire world.
Yeah.
Yes. What disturbs me about this inflation thing is that even Biden himself buys into this stupid argument that it's the actions, the supposedly progressive actions that are causing this inflation, where it's clear that it's not, because it's evidential that around the world everybody's experiencing the same thing. Everybody's having inflation, and that wouldn't be explained unless you look at the supply chain issues. Yes. And that is really what's causing it. Everything, it becomes more expensive when the supply chain stops and
look what's going on in Great Britain right now. Yeah, the people, they were already told, it could be critical, with turkeys for Christmas and stuff, and this is only a petitesse, if you want so, there's not a big thing, but if you see, the last funny thing I see was that there are certain stores, grocery stores in the UK who are covering now the empty shelves with wallpapers, with and the photo print is shelves full of stuff, full of groceries and full of it, and the people who are looking from outside into the shop, they, oh, cool, they got everything, and if they go inside, there's nothing there, yeah.
Maybe next week they'll have plastic vegetables.
Yes, yeah, maybe.
But it's unbelievable that Biden himself would self score like a goal by associating the inflation, the rising inflation, with his policies. God understand why. I mean, the Democrats are doing poorly as is, and now he's himself taking a completely false narrative onto himself. Why? It's incomprehensible to me.
Yeah. By the way, there's a question raised in chat, and I don't know, I forgot it. What's the crime of Mr. Potato Head again? What did he do?
Too starchy. I don't know.
What was he accused of? I can't remember this. I know there was something. But I don't remember. That there is no Mrs. Potato Head or something.
There is
like
a Mrs.
this?
Potato Head, actually.
Okay, then there's no reason to complain. Anyway, there we're talking about turkeys, yeah, as we're talking about it.
We're talking about Turkish. I hear about powdered
Turkeys.
new. It's a spam.
It's the turkey's replacement, I guess.
Yes.
For your Thanksgiving.
And here's the hot potato.
Yeah,
not Mr. Potato,
exactly.
but the hot potato being tossed, and the baby is gonna catch it.
Has to catch it.
Yeah. And here's the U.S. divide, the political divide. That's really one of the most scary parts of it. And this is something we're going to talk in a following show about this whole issue that the election system, in spite of all this deals with the big Build Better and all of that stuff, they haven't fixed the issue that the states can overrule a democratic vote, and that's going to come back to haunt us. If we wait till after the midterms, most likely the Democrats are going to lose at least the Senate, and at that point it's going to be impossible to do anything about it. This should be the priority, to fix that issue so that elections cannot be stolen from popular vote.
In the worst case, we still can storm the Capitol.
They could, but they won't have to. Belarus and Poland. Yeah, it's very sad what's going on.
Yes, another story we didn't cover yet. I think I will do this next week. It is yes, it is another human crisis right at our borders here, and it's absolutely crazy. We have, on the other hand, the dictator of Belarus, Lukashenko, and he is using those migrants as weapons against the European Union. It was caused because the European Union sanctioned Belarus heavily because of an incident a couple of months ago.
These are Syrians, right?
I'm sorry?
These are Syrian.
They're coming from different places. He used his airlines and cooperating airlines to get migrants and refugees from different places to Belarus, and then he drove them like a horde of cattle to the Polish border. And he's using them as a threat against the EU, that he would get more refugees at the border, and they would overrun Poland, etc. And
I understood he was giving free transport to the refugees so they could get to the border, right?
Not just free transport, but it's whoever doesn't know the details. They actually sent out and worked with travel agents to try and collect.
He's collecting them. He's collecting them from Europe. From different parts of the world, yes. They were coming from they came over from Turkey. They came over from, I think, also from Dubai, and stuff, and
so they were creating a problem that was not there, just to destabilize, to get into the thorn into the side of the EU, and particularly Poland. But the sad part of it is that the Polish themselves are acting atrociously towards these migrants. And for example, it's hard to believe, but they're using state propaganda to present those people as less than human. There's been a case where they fabricated evidence. They were showing like a clip of video from that was a guy having sex with a horse, and they were saying that this was found on the phone of one of the phone that was dropped by one of these refugees. But this video has been on the internet since the 90s. It's clearly not related to any one of the refugees, and the whole thing is just like just completely ridiculous, just to make those people look better and to vilify them.
But you gotta also. You don't have to forget to mention that the Poland government were close friends with Trump and the Republicans, and they're also more or less reactionary force here in Europe. And they have big problems. They have also big problems in the European Union itself, because more and more people are tired of Poland, and that they are one big critique is that the justice is not longer independently working in Poland, and the EU is fining Poland in big numbers right now, and it is not easy with such a government, such a right-wing government like Poland is, and they don't allow any reporters, any media at the border, to cover what's going on there. It's strictly a no-go zone.
Yeah, I would say that they're autocratic light compared to Belarus, which is autocratic extreme. But nevertheless, they're both these countries are nothing to look at, to write home about, and it's just a shame that these poor people are caught in between.
And there's another very important point, if you look at the German media, if you look at newspapers, etc., you don't hear a lot of critique about this here, It is mentioned in the news, but there's not much critique about it. Why is it like this? Because, if Poland says, okay, everyone is against us, and we let all the people pass, and go through our country, those people are heading for Germany, and of course nobody wants those people here, and this is why in Germany the critique is silenced. All in the other affair, when it comes to the independent working justice, and it is everything is stuck together in somehow, and Russia is also some cards in this poker game, and it is very, very. In the end, those people are sitting there. It is very cold right now in this area of Europe. It is very cold, and it's inhumane. Period.
Yeah. And these guys are trapped. They're presented as aggressive because they're throwing rocks at the Polish guards. But you have to understand that these people are like in a trapped situation where they fear for their lives. They're barely surviving there. They try to go back to Belarus. They're being beaten. They try to cross the border into Poland. They're being attacked with stand grenades. They're desperate at this point. So wouldn't you throw rocks if you were trying to save your life? I would.
Yes. And if you have to camp in the outside in the cold for nearly 2 weeks right now,
All right.
There are about 1,000 of them, right?
I think even if we have different points at the Polish border, which is now filled with refugees. I don't have a certain number. I think in one it is more than 1,000. At one point.
They keep sending some people back to their countries, but then they're being Belarus is very happy to bring more people in, because what they do is they put a huge tax on a huge fee on getting the visa, and they're collecting money on the passage itself, so they're making money on top of creating this disturbance. So it's completely
it's cruel. It's just cruel,
and it's inhumane, and this despot is going to probably get away with it, which is because nobody can do much about him right now.
Wow.
Yeah, what's his name again? I mean, I'm just an American. I don't know. Belarus.
Yeah.
Lukashenko.
Lukashenko, yeah. That's where they had like 1 million people in a protest like 6 months ago, right?
Yes, but also the latest election where also came out in favor of Lukashenko, surprisingly, though he had to face a very big opposition, which I think also disappeared or, was put into a gulag or something like this. Yes, The critics are abroad. They are not in Belarus anymore.
Yep.
What does he think he's going to gain by this?
It's a good question. He's mostly isolated. The economy is mostly isolated from the European Union, but on the other hand, he has a big partner. This is Putin. You know, Putin doesn't like him very much, but he's a good vassal. You know, he's someone he could use as a chess figure. You know, and he's also doing this.
Yeah, because ultimately it's destabilizing the EU, and he wants to. He wants to take revenge, if not force people to negotiate with him, or he's blackmailing them pretty much.
Yes.
All right, let's keep going with this here. There's the next one. There's under Carter, under Clinton, under Obama, and now under Biden. Each time they're saying they're coming for your guns, and each time they're selling more weapons. Guess why they're saying it?
To sell more weapons? I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yeah, good guess. And here's our last one.
Yeah. And what is it? Turducken?
Turducken. Oh, you don't know that. In the U.S., we have the Thanksgiving traditional holiday, which is we used to be turkey. But since like, I don't know, the 90s or the 80s, I don't know, somebody came up with that, putting stuffing a turkey with a chicken and then a duck inside of the chicken, so making this Frankenstein meal.
Turducken. No, I get it. Yeah, I was thinking, if I pronounce it correctly, I think it might be turd in it, but I'm not sure. What is Acken then?
No, yeah. So that's what it is. And here,
I didn't hear it. I never heard of it.
You have never heard of it?
No.
All right. Well, so here it says it's partisanship stuffed with frustration, rolled into anger, fried to a crisp 24/7.
Now I get it. Yeah. All right. Political turducken. All right.
Yep.
Yes. We're at the end already. Guys, any last words? Keith?
Well, is my sound working?
Yes. Yes.
Amazing. Well, I wish I could have covered some of that stuff. Maybe we'll cover it next week.
Yes, please.
My point is to illustrate that there are other ways we could be solving our problems, and I guess I'll get there. Anyway,
all right. We're looking forward to it.
We're gonna get our. Hopefully, we're gonna get our 4-letter word together. And figure out how to split up the show. We weren't able to do that so far, but hopefully we'll get on that and make it more enjoyable for you guys. Meanwhile, if you guys share our content, we appreciate it. That's it.
Cool. Yeah. And as usual, we are going out with a song. And this is one of my absolute favorite bands, the Viagra Boys. Yes, I found this live piece. It is a song from their last album. And it's also meant as a goodbye. As a goodbye to Benjamin Vallée. He was a guitar player of the Viagra Boys, and he died in October, aged 47. And the band did not tell what he was suffering from, and they are mourning his death, of course. And it is bitter. 47 years is no age, and he seems to be the funny guy in the band, and they will miss him deeply. And so I took the option to go out in the show with Viagra Boys and Toad, and I hope you like it, guys. See you next week. And anything I forgot?
No, thank you very much for watching, and thank you guys.
Stay safe and get the jab, please.
Yep.
For 5,000, I'll take 2.
Come to Germany. Oh, it's the intro still in there, sorry.
Something lately, baby. Plus it down here, I got something to tell you. You know, these past few nights have been magical. The breakfast you cooked up this morning tastes a little